Coming to you live from the Poison Point studio, it's Neo!
Greetings, my esteemed watchers, and welcome. 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 There we go. To another episode of Poison Points. I'm your host, Irisu Neo, and tonight I am so happy to have you all here. Over on my right side, Table is first at the table. I can't believe that Table is writing on the table. What is this? You're not made of steam? What does that mean, Chance? I have no idea what the hell you're talking about, you silly little goober. Oh, I forgot my music here. My music is a-playing very lightly in the background. I was making ramen, so I missed the start. Well, that's a big shame. Well, unfortunately for you, Chance, Table is at the table tonight, so that's just the way it's gonna have to be. How are we doing this evening? I promise, Daphne is there. She wants to say hello to you, but for whatever reason, something's getting a little funky in the background, and I do intend to fix it. It's just no time, literally. 0 time to have fixed anything. Table is invincible, so I can't kill them. It's not fair. Well, listen here. I doubt that. When it comes to the realm of possibilities that I present, I'm sure that I could handle a little bit of immortality on my end. I was hiding in a box from Skull Snipers. You're already there. My condolences to you, Wisp. How's everybody's week? My weekend has just begun, as I do work a weekend job. I'm going to be going on to the 3rd of the 4th day, so I'm very excited to be able to make it to a Monday where I can just relax and be myself. By the way, if you haven't already, I definitely recommend that you join the Discord. See, that command worked. That command worked that time. Over there, I've been planning some events, not actually been posted yet, but we do plan on hosting some community game nights. So if you want to be a part of that, I definitely recommend that you, God damn it. I definitely recommend that you, keep an eye out, join, of course, and sign up whenever you see the opportunity to join one. And we didn't get the double message there. Perfect. And secondly, I do have social media. If you want to check out my socials, you can find them here. I am at Irisu Bison and on TikTok as well. My main goal, always, is to upload both episodes that occur within a weekly time span to YouTube. And that way it's more consistent for me. So the reason why you haven't seen Lorelai's yet is because, well, our Soma, who is hiding in the background, is going to be uploaded at the same time as hers. So keep an eye out for those if you haven't subscribed already. Regardless, that is very much appreciative if you do. And finally, I don't do this often. If you follow me on Twitter in any capacity, I'm going to freeze myself for a moment. If you follow me on Twitter at any capacity, you'll know that I have a very, very hard time C2Aing, call to actioning people. I don't like doing it because at the end of the day, the person down here, Soma, who should be in the title and the collab thing, I don't like overriding my guest's time by being like, hey, I worked very hard on this. I work very hard on everything that I do. Any compensation would be nice. So if you see it in your heart to subscribe for any reason, or to donate on Ko-Fi, you can do that through !donate, and it just helps me out a little bit every month. The hardest frog I know, you know it, baby. Oh yes, extra hard. Extra sexy. You have to subscribe. There's no choice here. Well, Soma knows best. And, well, they are the guests this evening. Yes, any little bit helps. I will say, I'm not one of those, like, I don't want to say this broadly, because people run ads, right? It is a source of income for them, I understand. And it's also a call to subscribe. But this stream, specifically Poison Points, and every stream that I do, I have ads completely disabled because I do not want the experience interrupted at any point. The only ad you should ever get is the first one you get from joining the stream, because I can't turn that one off. If you get an ad randomly, I apologize. It shouldn't happen. And it has not happened as far as the Twitch thing has told me. The only time I play an ad is when we go to break, and that's it. I don't do anything at the start, I don't do anything at the end. Purely, this whole experience is for, well, the people I'm interviewing, and for you, the viewer. Because, let's face it, the people who sit over here, right here, in this spot, super cool people. Some of the coolest that I've ever met. And they deserve all of your attention. And it should not be taken away by some silly ad. So, again, if you have any funds to spare, you feeling good, you want to gift a sub or whatever, it genuinely helps out. But it's not required for the full experience. I'll just have you know that right now. Now, I've blabbered on for a little bit too long. I hope that my silly friend who's been waiting in the shadows doesn't mind. So, why don't we take a minute here to get to know Soma just a little bit more?
You guys like ASMR?
Not really, nah. I prefer to go to sleep listening to the sounds of the money I made.
You don't got a job. You're playing Overwatch. Don't even.
Oh, please! Bro, why you gotta do me like this? Uh-oh. Ow, that hurts, man. Let's go! I'm the best! You know I want it. You know I want it. Oh, nuclear bombs. Yes.
Introducing our guest for this evening. It is none other than Soma.
Where am I?
You're in my studio, of course.
It's my family.
Pardon?
I was in my room. I was reading my manga. I was eating my chips, and there's a bag on my head. Where am I?
Well, you might not remember this, Soma, but a little over a week ago, I stopped on by to say hello, and, well, I just knew that I needed you on the show, so I may have infected you with just a touch of poison. I hope you aren't too mad about that.
What? How do I get rid of it?
Get rid of it. It's harmless for the most part.
Oh God. Oh God.
See, it gives you a little bit of a tingling sensation, but for the most part, it feels nice. At least from what I've been told.
Can I at least have a juice?
Oh yes, the bar will provide you with a supplementary juice at your discretion.
Bar? Hold up. Hey,
Yeah.
okay. Hello, how are we doing?
Hello, Soma.
Thank you for having me here.
Of course, of course. And welcome on in to, well, what I can only assume is your first interview.
Yes, it would be. I'm not too social in these parts, so I'll admit I'm a bit nervous.
Oh, there's no reason to be nervous. I am a gracious host. I try to be nice and not mean. in any capacity. There might be a little bit of a bullying, but
Oh no, not the bully.
listen, it's just part of being a streamer. I just realized that
Okay.
there is a loading symbol behind you.
I tried to block it with my head. I didn't know if that was my fault or not.
It seems like my last guest didn't really exit properly, unfortunately.
What happened? Did they leave okay?
They always leave fine. It's just, well, there's something finicky happening around these parts, but I wouldn't worry your pretty little head over that.
Okay, okay.
Also, before we get, super started here, how is the sound quality, chat? Am I bouncing off of Soma okay? Is Soma bouncing off of me well? Is the music loud, quiet? Very important to know these things.
I hate to be too loud.
No, I hear you just fine in my ears. You are just at the right volume for myself. But I do have that little OBS adjustment, just in case. You never know. Great audio. I don't hear the music. I do have it on very low intentionally, because sometimes Lo-Fi Girl on YouTube plays some of the loudest lo-fi I've ever heard. There we go. What Hongo says, okay. You should very, very faintly hear that music now. Hi-fi. Well, Soma, considering that this is your first interview, I will not be going easy on you, because I know that I'm going to get a bunch of good responses all evening long.
I'd hope so.
Well, as is tradition on the Irisu Neo stream, why don't we start off with a question from our last interviewee? I know that you were here in chat, but you might not have heard this one. So,
Go ahead and shoot me with it.
Lorelei asks, do you have a particular scent or sound that triggers nostalgia for you, that brings you back in time?
Yes, I do, and it's a very niche one, so I don't think most people would get it. There's this one arcade game called Metal Slug, made by Neo Geo SNK, way back then in the 90s. And there was this local DVD store that I used to go to all the time that used to sell movies, popcorn, snacks, all that stuff, so you could buy all that stuff at once and then just go home and watch the movie. And they had an arcade machine there with Metal Slug 3 in it. And every time you would insert a quarter to start playing the game, it would play this nice little jingle. And just hearing that jingle again when I play the game every once in a while just brings me back to those memories as a kid. When I'd be playing the game with my brothers, just all swamped around this arcade machine trying to get a turn at it. And it just brings me back to the good old days when I wasn't worrying about taxes.
Back to a simpler life.
The simpler times.
All those germs all over those arcade machines, but you still rubbed your face anyways.
Mm-hmm. That's how I got this beautiful little mug of mine.
The germs from the arcade machine. They influenced you in ways that no mortal can comprehend.
I don't even comprehend it.
It is kind of wild. I wish I had done research on this prior, and I might bring this up on a later stream, but the power of nostalgia, like the triggering sense to bring you back in time, is one of the most formidable forces the human body can create. So powerful, in fact, that even through like amnesia or Alzheimer's, a song can take you back to where you were at your highest point, I suppose, when you did remember. It's definitely one of the most interesting human experiences.
I'll admit, I am very susceptible to nostalgia. It's just a drug of mine. I love smelling foods that remind me of like childhood memories. Like old games I'll go back to a lot just because I want to get that feeling I did back then. It's always nice to experience it, but sometimes you just gotta let it go every once in a while because it kind of blinds you from the things that you need to worry about.
Oh, yes. Ignorance is bliss, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
See, ironically, before I had done all of this rebrand stuff, I had a raid message that was this is the sonorous war cry of a very angry frog. And then the desert rain frog squealing. And when I heard that video normally, I looked around and thought I was getting raided while I was offline. That is just how drilled in it was to my brain. The little senses in life.
It's
Wow.
incredible to think about it now. Just these little sounds and noises that normal people would like not consider for a single moment, just somehow would interact with our brain enough to where we just have these vivid memories just flood into our head.
Oh, yes. And sentimentality, or being sentimental about something, is a power that cannot be taken away. I could honestly speak for hours about this one. It's one of my favorite topics.
Well, as long as you're willing to speak, I'm willing to listen.
Well, listen, I would, but, you're sitting here, and you're the one who is supposed to be talking. I'm the listener today, so... Well, I appreciate your answer, and I'm sure Lorelai will as well, whenever she gets to see it, considering that she sleeps in. Oh no, you are not
I'm
being
a bit of a...
covered by the head pads here.
Oh, no, hold on. I can get bigger. Hold on. No, could I? Yes, I can. Oh, those are nice. That feels nice. Thank you.
You're huge.
A little special ability of mine.
Thank you for the follow, Reptile and Princess Velvet. Welcome on in.
Hi, Velvet. Very, very cool friend of mine. Glad
Very
to see you
wonderful.
stop in.
Yes, it's always wonderful to see new friends stop on by to, well, witness the interrogation. Sorry, your model was staring forward for a second, and he was
No,
honestly...
I did it.
Yes, let's go.
I had to cut it for the effect. It's okay. I have drinks. It's not as bad as I thought it would be. They gave me some nice fruit juice.
Hell yeah.
I got my little Kool-Aid snacks.
Yeah, listen, I'm maybe a villain, but I'm not a monster. Although, fun fact, I did learn that when I added this model to my collection, when my model mommy made this for me, they accidentally made my hands bigger. And I noticed something was off for a little bit, and then I kind of fell in love with it for some reason. I don't know why.
It's a good character trait to have.
Yeah, and I'm a frog. It's webbed.
Yeah, they're known for the bigger hands. Yeah, it makes sense. It's canonical. It's canonical.
Yeah, we'll make it work out. Whatever it is, the Queen of Scuff always rolls with the punches. All right, so for the main part of our interrogation tonight, I need to know, Soma, why did you become a VTuber? How did you get from where you were to where we see you now today?
So that is a very loaded question, and that goes back to around 2015.
Ooh.
I hate to sound like every other like trendy Zoomer kid, but growing up with YouTube back in its original debut back in 2005, it was around 2007 where I first got involved with the internet. I saw all these amazing people just like doing so many creative things, creating all these videos, so many art pieces, and I was inspired by it. I was always like a more theatrical person. I like expressing myself through like different voices, different songs. Like any type of artistic piece that you give me, I can get something out of it. And I thought to myself, why can't I do something like that? And from there forward, I've just been like this on and off content creator doing constantly different things to try and like find something that I'm happy with. And being a VTuber is just kind of like a pipeline from that. From where I went to like, your average like Minecraft gamer towards like this high velocity streamer, and it just kind of, led into it. Because despite me wanting to meet a lot of people online and wanting to interact with a lot of individuals, I recognize that it's a very slippery slope when it comes to how you are identified with on the internet. A lot of people tend to do it with just their face and their name, and even then, as like a teenager, I didn't feel comfortable with it. I'm not too confident with my looks. I don't really like my own name, and it's just like one of those things that kind of irked me when I thought about it. It's like I kind of have to name it after myself, and if I'm not gonna do that, I need to have at least my face after it, like in video or something like that. And I wasn't really happy with that. And it wasn't until like late 2019 when the whole VTuber boom started happening that I saw all these people doing the same things that I want to do with a nice, cool model. And I thought to myself, well, I'm pretty much able to do that now. And ever since then, I've been working with a lot of different people, a lot of different artists to try and make this huge little plan of mine revolved around a single character that we see here today. And that is like the most condensed form that I can make it. Because if I really took the time to explain all of it, that would pretty much be the whole interview.
That's fair. That's fair. You know what they say? VTubers are the gateway drug to VTubing.
Oh, yes. And I am addicted.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Absorb all of those chemicals.
Oh, no.
It's funny. Nyanners was my gateway drug into VTubing. Because I was trying to figure out who I was as a person. So to hear that, you basically started out trying to live your dream of being a content creator and have been doing it ever since, at least, even if it was on and off, that's fine. You're here today creating content, and that's absolutely wonderful to hear.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like been a very difficult thing because, when you're going through that period of your life throughout the teenage years, you need to worry about school, you need to worry about your family. You're going through that development stage in your social life and your emotional state. You always got to figure out who you are first before you decide what you want to do. And the YouTubing was just kind of like this side project I'd always work on until eventually, at this point in my life, I finally have the time and the certainty to commit to it at a certain scale. And if I'm able to get something great out of it, I'm going to keep charging in towards it.
I love to hear that. That is very inspirational.
I'd hope so.
Now, destroy them. Destroy them all.
Kill them.
Yeah, whatever obstacles are in your way, you're gonna have to jump over them or break through that wall. I swear.
Well, thankfully, I haven't had to face any difficulties so far. There have been certain instances where, you get the occasional hate comment and stuff. Just somebody messaging you randomly to say, hey, you suck. But I mean, I thankfully haven't had to face the darker sides of the internet, and I'm grateful for that so far.
Yes, it is. It's hard times these days where everyone feels that they can say anything to anybody, and they don't have any consequences to themselves. Obviously, the consequence to you is mayhaps you feel a little bit down later.
Yep.
It's wild. I've not had anybody say anything like that to me. Despite the type of person that I am, a toxic frog on the internet. So, I don't know what I did to not receive any hate comments of any kind. Chad, I am looking at you though, Chad. If you start with me right now, I'm gonna beat you up.
Well, you're just so sweet. How can we care about the poison?
Oh my goodness. You flatter me so. And I'm supposed to be a villain, damn it.
Oh, it can be nice.
Fine, you win this round. So, where did you come up with your name? You are Soma, but with the 5-0 and the MA. Where does that come from for you?
So, it's a mixture of my old gaming username and just a one-off thing that I got from an interaction in school. So originally, I had an old username which I don't go by anymore, where it just had a bunch of numbers and X's, underscores. It wasn't even legible, but you know, like back then in the old Call of Duty days, like 2008, 2015, you had all those XX underscore gangster underscore XX, like those types of usernames. It's so cringe when you look back on it.
Oh yes.
But I was unfortunately a participant in that type of that username, and 50 was at the beginning, at the end of my name. So it was what was it again? I changed it so long ago. It was like 50. God, it was like 50 underscore XX Devilman something. It was super cringe. I hate thinking about it, but it's just 50 because that's what it used to be. It was just this nonsense number. And then later in high school, when I was developing, this will tag into the lore later, but for the in real life reason for the name, it was this one-off thing in my biology class in high school where my teacher was talking about somatic cells. I forget what they are because, by God, I wasn't paying attention back then, and I should have. And he was just erasing it off the board because he'd written it there. And on that first strike, he got distracted, so it just stayed up on the board, and it just read Soma. And I thought to myself, that's a pretty cool name. So later on, when I would be coming up with my VTuber name, I would be thinking of random things, and for some reason, for like a luck of the dice, strike of lightning, it just hit me. Soma. Now, unfortunately, it's already taken on Twitch and YouTube, so Soma as the name itself wouldn't work. So I just went around messing with it, and then 50ma. That's it, 50ma. Elite Speak, if you remember that back then as well.
Oh yeah.
Reads as Soma, and bam, there you go. I'm so sorry, it's like this whole convoluted thing. It's like, it's just a bunch of jumbled pieces, but that's kind of just my life.
I mean, no, that makes perfect sense to me. I followed along perfectly. Like, listen, when you... I've seen some interesting names out there, and some people have told me, you know, I came up with this because I saw that, or it was just, it came to me one day at a dream. That was it.
I remember that. Lorelai mentioned that. We won't talk about what type of dream that was, though.
Yeah, no. Listen, it was a happy dream filled with happy memories and some good lovemaking, and that was it. Okay, and the concept for your character, where did that come to you?
So, like I just mentioned before, it's just like this whole culmination of a bunch of different like sources. And for the character itself, he is this OC that I made back in middle school, back around like 2011. And he has just been this, he's evolved from this like self-insert to animes I watched back then into like this whole fully developed character that I've kind of written into a set story that I plan to eventually, for my long-term goal, and which is kind of like the whole endpoint for this, is to make as an illustrated story. Because as you've seen from the snippet of lore that I was able to write you, I have this whole setting, this whole storyline prepped. All I need to do is just know how to illustrate it, how to like properly present it to people. And that's what I hope to achieve later on in this whole career thing.
Okay. I am, if you couldn't have like told by the, or couldn't have told by the sheer amount of lore questions I ask, I'm a big sucker for lore. I think it is an untapped market that a lot of people just...
I do too.
It's just, I am Liam Lai, and this is my lore video, and then it never comes up ever again. By the way, I love Amelie, but you get the point. You get the point. Like, we need more VTubers who lean in, and even if the character gets broken every once in a while, the lore is there. You know, that's the most important part.
That's always been an issue for me. I had to go through this big struggle back when I didn't even debut, where I had to decide whether I wanted to be the character or whether I wanted to be myself acting as the character. I wanted to figure out what that distinction would be. And one thing I thought would really help would be the lore. I would try to separate these two characters as like, hey, this is the avatar, but if you're not interested in that, here's the whole story. And they would be considered two separate things. And I think further on, I'll probably go that route. But for now, I'm more comfortable using this guy as like a forefront, as like a little mask, like, hey, you can look at this as the face, and then all the words coming out is just me as a person.
There you go. I like that. I like that train of thought. I think that's it's very important to have that distinction every once in a while, because even if you are acting as the way that you would act, people want to see that side of you that they're used to, at least every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people in chat who were very upset when I acted like this the entire time. Then I broke character and it was all good with them again.
And also, when some people, when you get angry or where you get a little upset, you know, sometimes you gotta break it, and you know, it's a lot easier to do that when you're not trying to act as the character, you know?
This is fair. This is fair. Listen, the true sign that I've gone like overboard and I've lost all sense of sanity is when I start getting angry in this character's voice. That'll be it for me. That's when you know that I have bitten off a little bit more that I could chew. Now,
Well, I'll be sure not to anger you.
oh, listen, I'm the most patient person on the planet. It takes a lot to make me upset. Hell, I even have a YouTube short that literally just says, you can come into my chat and call me any name you'd like, because it takes you, how long? Like 30 seconds to a minute to find me and type it out, while I can just click a button and ban you. It's as simple as that.
That's a good mindset to have.
Oh yes, the trade-off, the action economy is just not fair, and I'm the one reaping the rewards of a good laugh.
All the free content.
Oh yes. Upload that to YouTube Shorts and then get more people who are whatever. The cycle continues. It never ends on the internet, it seems. So, what type of content do you create? Are you kind of a variety streamer?
So, originally, even back when I first started, I was just a gaming streamer. You know, dime a dozen, plays whatever games they want. One thing that I really wanted to avoid, even back then, was being, like, forced into one category. I never liked playing one game. If I find something I like to play, I'll play it. And if I lose viewers because of it, well, sorry to see that happen. But I do my best to give a variety of content to make sure I can keep myself invested, as well as keep other people interested in the things that I'm producing. Because, you know, everybody burns out of certain games that they like. I used to play Overwatch day in, day out. I used to breathe that game back when it first released. But nowadays, I'd be damned if I even touched that game. Same thing with like Call of Duty, and now more recently, I'm very excited over a game called Omega Strikers, which is basically just 3v3 hockey. But even then, you gotta realize good things come in good doses. If you go too much on it, you'll end up not ever wanting to taste it again. So it's always wanting to make sure that I throw in a good variety of interesting things in there to not only keep the audience interested, to not only keep the audience interested, but also to make sure I'm, you know, having fun. Because if I'm not having fun while streaming, well, what's the whole point of this thing, you know?
Yeah, that is kind of the secret that a lot of people don't know. They don't realize that, you know, a lot of these people who play the same game over and over again, some of them are actually completely sick of it. And they'd much rather be doing something else. But doing that something else after you've built an audience off of that, it can be tough to get people to watch you. So just do it from the beginning. Play whatever you want from the beginning. How can they fault you for that?
What I really hope is that they fall in love with me rather than the game I'm playing, because as you just mentioned, I see a lot of like these big content creators talk about how they're super burned out, how they never want to touch the game they got really big on, and how their own communities will turn against them when they stop playing it because, well, we made you big because you played this game a lot, so we wanted to see more of the game, but it ends up ruining their like passion for just everything that they've been doing, and it just drives them out of the internet. And I just want to make sure that when I get to a certain point, that I'm not forced into that same situation.
Yeah, I completely agree. But if I could have a game that I could love forever and play infinitely amount of times, then I would do it. Provided that I like forgot about the experience every time. But I don't think I could play what I love now infinitely, every single day, in and out, without getting sick of it eventually.
I think that's good though,
Mhm.
because I'm not. I hate to sound like so pick me, but I'm not a very like finite person. I don't like doing the same thing every day. I don't like getting up in the morning, having like a strict schedule on everything that I need to do. I don't like sticking towards like a profile. I want to make sure that I can experience as many things as I'd like, as long as the opportunity is there. And if that means that I have to leave behind certain experiences or people in order to get to that point, then unfortunately I'm gonna have to bite the bullet and go forward.
Yes, that is similar to like cutting out the toxic people in your life, but it's the toxic experiences in that case. Listen, I promise, I'm poisonous, not toxic. That's a very big difference. Well, that's a lie. My motto has always been toxic and sweet. So, next question. Is there anything special that you've been working on, or any special events that you've been planning for that you can share with us tonight?
So, you mentioned special events.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I've been burned quite a few times after trying to set up a few minor like get-togethers and social events. They're still there on my YouTube channel, but I've made trailers and stuff and like promotional material for like tournaments and things that I'd like to host back when I first debuted. I was very naive back then. But I tried to do like host like money matches for Valorant, tried to do little tournaments for Mario Kart. Just and like I think my last failure was one for Crab Game. Yeah, that was a few months ago. I try to do my best to like reach out to people, say, hey, do you want to participate in this thing? Or like, hey, you want to play together or something? And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. It's like a punch to the gut when it doesn't happen more often than not. But I do my best to try and like stay optimistic about that stuff, because when people say yes, it's always a good time.
Mm-hmm.
So you always got to look forward to it.
Yes, I actually was planning on doing a community night crab game. If you wanted to work something out with me, we could maybe make something happen. It's still whatever at the moment, but
well, that's piquing my interest.
there are some people who want to dethrone me as the queen of crab game. I had a stream not 2 or 3 months ago where I played it with my viewers, and I won almost every single game, unless sheer luck told me that I couldn't do it. Everybody was
you might
angry.
have to watch your back, otherwise I might have to dethrone you.
Oh, a challenger, a worthy opponent.
Okay. I almost forgot. I got too busy talking about the events, getting all Debbie Downer on myself. I do have something special if you would allow me to bring it out in just a moment.
Oh yes, of course.
I did promise my viewers this, so let me go ahead and whip this bad boy out. I have to give big thanks to the artist mama, known as My Algae. Ooh, wait, hold on. You're currently... You know what? Let's go for it. Be right back. Ooh.
They're teleporting. He's teleporting. What do I do?
I have to switch to my final form.
Oh my god.
Hello.
You are the creature.
I am the creature.
I'm gonna resize you here, cause.
Oh, of course. If I'm too big, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All this mass can't be contained.
Oh, your eyes light ablaze. That is so cool. My goodness.
This was a fun little project I was working on for a few months. It was difficult to find someone who could rig this properly, or at least how I intended to. But thanks to the work done by @Chiseko, I'll have to link their stuff in the chat. But they were able to help me out in making this possible, and this was just a great time. I hope to use this a lot in the future.
If you could send that to me, because links are a Nightbot no for whatever reason.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
I've tried to curb it as much as I can, but sometimes Nightbot can be a real pain in the ass. So
here, I'll send you their Twitter links, so we can get them some commissions, because they are great people. They have worked with me a ton. I've been a return customer for both of them, and they are very affordable, which I know is a difficulty in these times.
Oh, yes. Sam, giving them a follow right here.
Yup. They're so lovely, they're so kind, and I can't thank them enough for helping me out.
Oh, yes. The work that I'm seeing here actually is very nice.
That's
Very
it.
crisp.
In fact, Chiseko was the one who made the previous model that we just looked at.
Hey, oh, there we are.
So when I find a good artist, I latch onto it, and they don't get to leave.
Ah, yes. Listen, if they are good enough for you to come back multiple times, then I think they're worth spreading the word of to commission. Well, you heard it here first, folks. If you don't go over there right now and commission, Chiseko,
I'll get you.
Well, yeah,
I'll
this
get you.
creature right here is going to get you. I'm going to get you, and not in the pleasant way.
Or else they'll cry. Or else they'll cry.
Yeah, don't let this little creature cry.
Oh my god. Yeah, there were so many ideas to like that I have in store for like all these models and things, and I've done so much and I've tried so hard to keep myself from like wasting an egregious amount of money, because otherwise I'll go broke buying all these models. But this is just so much fun. Like you mentioned, this is a drug and I'm addicted to it, and I don't think I'd ever want to rehab from it.
Yeah, that is fair. The amount of money I could have saved by not VTubing is immense. But I will continue to consume this drug and
I absolutely will.
Until I get my fill.
I think I have to update my spreadsheet with the recent purchases from this model, but I don't want to drop the number. Hold on. I think I have around 12 large ones dropped on this VTubing thing.
My
overall.
goodness.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I plan to do that either have come short due to circumstances or that have already just been out there. But I have invested a lot within this whole VTubing thing, and I have a plan for myself to continuously do it as long as I still have the funds to support it. I haven't separated from my real life stuff, so don't worry. You're not gonna find out I'm homeless a week later.
Fair enough.
This has cost a pretty penny, and I recommend, one thing I will say for many people who are like PNGs or like very low on funds, who don't want to spend too much money, it's a very difficult thing to get into. This is a privilege. We need to remember that. So don't go yelling at your artists when they're a little too much for you. They're doing what they can because that's what they consider their work worth. And if you got the money, pay them.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Listen, your artists are your creators, so give them their due diligence and pay them. Pay your artist.
Give them a little tip too.
Yeah, just a little bit, and come back to them multiple times, over and over and over again. Infinite money glitch for them specifically.
Especially because art is a very difficult place to get a career from. I know I always see on my timeline just people constantly like having their livelihoods threatened because they just can't make a career off of this, either from people just not recognizing them or saying that their prices are too high, or just straight up unluckiness. It's very difficult to see, and it's just something that I always want to make sure isn't an issue when I'm going through this whole process with people. Like, I always tell them, like, hey, set me your price, and if I think it's good enough, I will pay it. If not, unfortunately, we can't work together. But thankfully, that has never been an issue. Everyone's always very humble about themselves, to the point where I have to tell them, no, that is too low, I will pay you a little bit more. And if they refuse it, I just tip them. Because this is an art form. I don't know how people feel about this outside the VTuber sphere, but for me personally, VTubing is an art form. It is another form of expression, and if people are willing to, spend hours learning how to draw, how to rig, how to do all these special things in order to make the model that you want, you should feel the necessity to pay them.
I agree. Yes. I would say that aside from my computer, because that was a lot of money, I have probably spent around $2,000 on all of my stuff in a very short amount of time. Actually, that is a lot of money over the course of a year and a half. So it's gone to good places, as you could see. It has definitely filled out my body, and I couldn't be happier. I would do it again and again and again, as many times as it takes to provide an amazing experience that I can be proud of.
Now I feel like an even bigger loser for the amount that I've dropped. But it's okay, because half of that stuff hasn't been released.
Don't worry yet, though. I am about to hit, like, going from 2 to 10 in a very short amount of time. So,
it's expensive, yeah.
oh, yes, very.
And I'll be
very-
honest, mine should be around 20 if I hadn't gotten the pre-COVID prices.
Ah,
Everything's kind of jumped up recently, but that's out of our control, sadly.
So you started at around probably the best time that you could have.
If I remember correctly, I think I was a little late to the party. I believe the big VTuber boom was around start of 2019, in which I barely considered like getting into it around the end of the year, like right around before COVID started. So I was a little late to the game, but that doesn't stop me from doing what I do.
Yeah, you missed the initial injection of your VTuber. Fuck. This is gonna be the joke for the rest of the stream.
It's okay, I like a good callback.
Oh yes, the bit of the stream will always persist and go on. Also, welcome on in, Black Dust. I am Irisu, and I am currently interviewing Soma, who is the creature at the moment.
The criatura.
I run an interview talk show called Poison Point, and I always like to meet with new creators that I've not really had the opportunity to talk to, and I like to pick their brain, their cute little brains, with my extremely sharp nails, just to learn a little bit more about them. I hope you're not afraid, Soma. I promise, it'll be okay.
It's okay, it's okay. I've had enough drinks to not be too scared at this point.
Yeah,
It's
there
okay.
you go.
What's the worst that could happen?
I'm not going to answer that question, actually. Moving on.
Let's keep it that way.
Now, I know that you're in your lore, or at the very least on your Twitter page, you list yourself as a Nomad Vigilante. But
Okay.
if you weren't a Nomad Vigilante, or if you weren't your character, what would you have been instead?
I believe I already a phoenix. A phoenix. This ties into the lore as well, but I'm really into Greek mythology. I love the creatures that are conspired from it. I love the mythos around it, like all these gods, all these characters, like, you know, Prometheus, Icarus, like all these people that are derived from these stories. It's so interesting to me. And I remember even back then in middle school, I was like obsessed with it. Percy Jackson, everyone, has done an irreparable amount of damage to my brain. Oh my god, those books were amazing. But that was like the starting point for me when I really got into storytelling. So if I had to pick something other than this regular human form or the criatura,
The
creature.
criatura.
I would be a phoenix. It's
Okay.
just like a very nice bird.
Now, would you go more literal with that interpretation, or would you do like that VTuber hodgepodge where it's a human with the phoenix features?
I think what I would do is like a transformation type deal.
Okay.
Where I would start as human, but, you know, through magic and all mumbo jumbo and stuff, I turn into a literal phoenix. I believe it's good to have that, because it's a little confusing when you see the wings and it's like, oh, are you a chicken? No, I'm not a chicken.
Okay, you win that round. I'm breaking my character already with that comment. So, you know, I just thought of this. This hit the brain instantly when you were mentioning the transformation. But what if, over the course of your stream, you just randomly died and then rose again as that phoenix from the ashes?
You know what's really funny?
You've
That you
thought of
mentioned
this?
that? That's part of the lore.
Yes. Ah.
Now, unfortunately, it's not as majestic as you make it sound, because I'm a little Debbie Downer, and that was made back when I was in my little goth era. But there is an instance where there is a resurrection, a rise from the ashes, as you put it. There is an instance of that. So it's not as far as you think.
I have this mystical power to connect with any of my guests. I know exactly what's on their mind the instant they think about it.
Just scanning my brain right there.
See,
Poison's doing its work.
Oh yes, that the power of the poison compels you, and it also gives me all of your information, including your address and credit card information. But
My credit card.
I promise I won't use that. It's just between us.
I'm just gonna see a lot of Uber Eats orders.
No, I promise. It's that cashier's honor. I swear.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'll have more money to buy my figures.
Now, I have a question for you, and this one's a
Of
doozy.
course.
So you can take as much time as you need for this one. When you get home and you get on the computer and you boot up everything and you are ready to be you for the day, what does it mean to be Soma for you?
Expressionate. Just genuinely human. And cause when I'm on the camera, like as I speak to you now, even though I am a little formal, I like to imagine this is how I am, how I should be, how I want to be in the real world. Because as I think about how I act within the the public streets and stuff like that, I'm not too talkative. I don't like talking. I don't like the sound of my voice. I also, I'm just scared to talk to people. You got that anxiety, that anxious sensation in your head. Like, oh, what if I mess up what I'm going to say? What if I, drop something and make a big deal out of myself? Like, I'm scared of that. So I don't really go out of my way to talk to people. I don't like making a big presence of myself. And while some of it does reflect onto my streaming and stuff like that, I try my best when I turn that camera on, when I start streaming, to be as expressionate, to be as loud, and just be as much as I can be compared to how I am in like real life. Because if you put me as I am now next to the person that you would meet on the streets that carries the same name, we would not be the same person.
Okay. So, in an opposite sense, it's not necessarily that you are faking anything. It's that you are coming to life with the full force of what you hold in at all times.
Exactly.
I see. That is, like Ongo said, that is very relatable. I have thought about that question for a long time, that what does it mean for me to be me when I hop behind the camera? And honestly, I think that answer right there is the end-all be-all. I think that is literally the answer to it all.
In the shortest form I could give to it, I'm like a puppet. And it is only when I'm in the camera when those strings are cut and I can, move around like myself. That's how I could say it.
I'm going to treasure this moment. I hope you know that is an incredibly impactful way to look at that question. My goodness. Well, I hope that you are, prepared for the last half of this interview because, well, I need to know a little bit more about you as a person, Soma, because I don't know what you are. Where do you come from?
Is that a literal sense, or are you asking the character?
For the character.
Oh, okay, good. I was about to start listing my home address and everything. You had me worried.
Yeah, the poison will do that. Try to fight back against that one.
Okay, so in the lore, it's set in an alternate Earth that is suspiciously similar to our own. My character, who is not at this point called Soma, is from a little country down south that very much has a flag with a little eagle on it, green, white, red flag. It's called Mexico. Yeah, I don't know if you heard of it.
Can't say that I have, but
I'm gonna start going about the lore, so I apologize if it gets a little too derived off the question. but he is an orphan. For what reason, we don't know. And he lives in a little church missionary. He's raised with a bunch of other children, disowned, unwanted, or just straight abandoned, unfortunately. Raised in a little religious, house with sisters and a father and all that stuff. And due to certain circumstances in his social life, or rather, due to the circumstances of his city, it's not exactly the best part to live in. There's a situation where there's a lot of, bad characters, so to say. I don't want to say anything that could be against TOS, so I'm trying to avoid all that stuff. Hence why I asked you earlier if there might be anything that we shouldn't talk about. But there's a lot of instances of, criminals, bad people, and a lot of evil, so to say, on these streets. And as this character, who has not been named yet, because that's a spoiler, is growing up, he realizes that if people aren't willing to do what they need to do simply because they're scared, that nothing will ever change. So, despite being scared himself, he makes an effort to change things. And this whole story that I've developed has been the explanation and the introspection as to what that means, as to help people to change things for better, for worse, and what it means to ultimately be just a good person. And that's where he really comes from. Just this one character surrounded by other people trying to make the best of a situation that he's stuck in.
Okay. Yes, I love that as well. And this character, not Soma, but unnamed, does he have any powers, any abilities?
No, he's human. He doesn't have any powers. And that actually catalyzes it, because one of the biggest conversations he'll have is through the... Okay, I'm gonna have to get a little graphic with it. Through the death of some of his fellow orphans, through these so-called criminals, he has this discussion with one of his caregivers about what it means to take action, and whether someone with the power to do so should, whether it's their responsibility. And through this conversation, he takes action. And unfortunately, he dies. And it is from this death that this strange event occurs. He finds himself in a very odd location, a mountain, cliff. And on that cliff is a single tree of wilted, burned, ultimately devoid of life. A single person is standing there. He doesn't know their name, he doesn't recognize them. And he holds something in his hand, a little beacon of light. And he offers it to him. The boy doesn't know what to do, but he accepts it. And from there, light engulfs everything. And from there, he wakes up on the floor. His body's been changed. He doesn't recognize what's happened, but his life has shifted to something incredible. And from there, he receives these incredible gifts. Some physical, his body has changed. He has these two strange spikes protruding from his back. They hurt when they come out. He doesn't understand why they're there, but they're very strong and he can control them to his benefit. His hair is a beautiful blood red, but his hair was brown before, so he doesn't know where that came from. And when he returned home, he saw in the mirror his eyes are fractured. His irises, his actual eyes, like glass, broken, just shattered into pieces. And in his chest, just faintly coloring in his clothes, once he removes it, he sees a beating red heart. He doesn't understand it. He doesn't know why it's happened. But what he does know is that slowly he'll be able to change this world for the better. And from there we see the powers. I just got into the lore a little bit. I am so sorry.
Oh, no worries at all.
I got too into it. I'm so sorry. I was thinking to myself, like, at what point do I explain the actual powers? But I think it's better to just kind of give little clues as to what's happening here.
Oh yes. I mean, it's like a phoenix rising from the ashes.
But oh my goodness. Yeah, back when I first created this character, he was this self-insert. He was gonna be this superhero character, you know, like every shonen protagonist, like, oh, just this random guy, but then he's given, like, he's the chosen one, so he's got to save the world. It was back then, you know, I kept some of it. Some of it's a little more redeveloped, so it's a little more sensible. But overall, the super strength, some self-healing. The spikes are very important. I can't explain what they are, but they are very pivotal to the lore, as well as the eyes and the heart. But you know that's why they're there. And if I could bring up some of my character sheets, I could show you them. Oh, actually, give me just a moment.
Oh, you have full control. Oh no.
Oh yeah, hello. This is
yes.
the adult version. This is the adult version. Keep in mind. So this is the design that I had back when I first debuted. Uh-oh.
Oh.
He's changing a little bit.
He's morbid.
But hey, there he is. This is like modern Soma. This was the first iteration of the character that I first made back when I was a middle schooler. And I think it kind of shows, all black and red, super edgy, all sharp. Shadow the Hedgehog was a great influence on this character. Keep in mind. But I think we can see some of the details that I mentioned before. The nice little black spikes, which I refer to as claws. It just sounds better than just saying spikes. The beating heart, as we can see right here. And I don't know if I can get the model big enough, but as one can see, the eyes. There was a certain, and I know exactly where these eyes came from. There was a movie that came out in 2019, the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, and there was a sequence in there where he was going into this transformation, and his eyes broke, and I thought that was a super cool way to express the character, and I thought to myself, how could I include that in mine? And unfortunately, I can't tell you why that happens, or why he has it, because that is a spoiler.
You're just being such a tease to me. You're telling me all these things I need to know.
But, oh my god, there's so many things I could tell you. But I've had 10 years to develop this story of mine. There's so many different, obstacles that I'd have to go over. There's so many little things and story beats that I've mentioned. They all interconnect to this one singular thing. And I hope one day when I get good enough at art, which I also participate in, like drawing, I could actually present it to people. But this is just like a little taste,
I need more. I need more than just the appetizer. I need the full course.
But man, writing this whole character, it was just like this whole story of influences from my own life, media that I've been, interacting with, games, movies, and I just take bits and pieces that I thought were really nice or that I thought were really well done, and I try to develop that into my character. Because one thing that I've always done as a kid, even now, I do a lot of story writing, like creative writing, short stories, long stories, riddles, poems. I do a lot of that on my off time. So I like to just delve into my creative side, mainly because my job and my lifestyle as it is now doesn't really allow that. So it's good to get the brain going, And ultimately, I got a little too connected to this character, and 10 years later, I have. Hold on, I think my doc is here. Let me open up my doc. I have a 29-page document detailing the entire story of Soma. And it's not really thorough. It's not the thorough version. It's just all the dot points of story beats, characters, plot points, arcs, all this stuff. I have had more than enough time to delve into this universe that I've created, and I hope to eventually share it with everyone.
You tease me way too much. I'll let you off the hook this time because there was something that you gave me, a little bit of a tidbit, as it were, and I need to know, who is this Dr. Amon Gus?
Amon Gus. So unfortunately, he's a spoiler character. However, I've been leading you on long enough, so I'll go ahead and explain him. He is the man that catalyzes the entire existence of Soma. Because, as it stands, Soma is not a singular individual. He is an idea and he is an existence. And as we've mentioned before, with all the phoenix and all the rising from the ashes, he is a reincarnation. And this one that I act as is a reincarnation of the original. Now, as to where that original came from, that is a heavy spoiler, so I will not be sharing that. But let's just say that that heavy spoiler person was made by this Dr. Amon. So, in search, and do you want to share that little like lore drop that I gave you back in that document?
Like,
I'm fine if you share that, because that kind of explains what the whole reason why. Because I'll just be reiterating that.
I mean, do you
know
want
if you have it on
me
hand.
to post the entire thing, or
I mean, no, but like, if you want to just like me like show a screenshot of it on screen and then people can read it off of that. But
Yes.
basically, in a very far reach of space in history, there is a kingdom in which that is being threatened by others, and in a search for power, the king of said kingdom desires weapons, and from there, he hears of a legend from a soothsayer, of the Fenrich, a mystical being that carries power of gods, of the heavens, and he is enamored with it, and he wants to find it. Unfortunately, it's just a myth, and it isn't until a certain doctor by the name of Amon Gus. I don't want to like get too far away from it, but I think you understand where that name is from, right?
Oh yes, I understand.
Yeah, okay. Just wanted to make sure. It's a little bit of a joke play. I'll probably retcon it at some point, but it was just this funny thing. I was like, what if I just name him this, and it just happened. But Dr. Amon Gus came in, and he gave him the proposition: if we cannot find one organically, let us make one synthetically. And from there, we see this horrid delve into human psyche, into human souls, where we see this barbaric act to just tear them apart and finally piece together this little being that could destroy a world. And from there, there is not one, but 100 innocent children who are made into these beings, these false creatures, and many of them were failures. All of them were failures. None of them could actually encapsulate what was expected. And at least that was what was perceived. And in order to get rid of these horrific actions, they were burned. All these bodies, all these people were burned. And unfortunately, or rather, luckily, a singular body in that hill, unnamed, uncared for, unloved, with a single tattoo on their neck, reading their ID, 50, their gender, male, and their status, active, which is no longer applicable, but it's still written and tattooed on their neck, would actually survive the process. Whether he was successful or not, that's a spoiler. But we see the original 50 MA, who through their own actions, through social impact, would be dubbed Soma. And through all these different plot points I would be interacting with and introducing, we see what the impact of this character was up until the incarnation that we have today.
Okay.
I don't feel like I'm explaining this properly, but
No.
I'm trying. I'm like I have to jump through so many hoops to not accidentally spoil this story.
Listen, you've been teasing me this whole time, but I think that is a fair amount of information that you've given me. I'll take
I also
that.
I don't want to like lore bomb people, because I just saw in the chat that is a lot of lore. Believe me, that's like a paragraph of text out of the whole document that I have. It is a drop in the bucket.
Listen, more lore is good. Yeah, I don't know if you've been able to keep up. Well, okay, this is breaking character, whatever. If you've been able to keep up with any of my lore stuff, I have a hefty document myself that I've been keeping to myself. Maybe
Care
one
to
of
share?
these days. You know what? I'll pull the same thing that you have and say
Oh
it's a
no!
spoiler.
Don't give me some of my medicine.
Oh well, I gotta deal it back. It's fair's fair in that
Aww.
regard.
Okay, you know what? I deserve that.
All right.
Because I
Well,
was gonna say, outside of the recent stuff, I wasn't aware of any lore so far.
oh, don't worry. It gets posted and updated here and there.
Okay, I'll have to keep my eyes on that. I'm a little bit of a lore fiend, a lore goblin, as one would say.
Yeah, a lore creature.
A lore creature? Yes, perfect.
Well, you better make sure that whenever that document does get posted, I get to be one of the first people to read it because I love reading lore. I don't think I could establish this enough.
That's if I really wanted to post that, I think I'd have to like get rid of half of it because half of it's just like misspells all already. But I mean, if you are interested, and if anybody else is, there are, I believe, 2 episodes of lore already is published on my channel, my YouTube channel, back when I first debuted. So if it interests you, there is some there. Just know, a lot of that information does not come with what I just spoke about, so some of that may conflict with that, but don't worry, it actually makes sense. It makes sense. I've written this stuff so many times because it doesn't make sense, or there's like some weird retcon that I had to do. It makes sense. There just needs to be more of it. I just don't have enough time.
Pulling this up right now. I am
It's
one,
like,
subscribing to your channel,
thank you.
and 2, I'm gonna post it in chat here. Hello, QB. Welcome on in.
Yeah, it's on my playlist. There's two lore videos, each 3 minutes each. One of them has voice acting, which was so cool for me to do back then. I don't know how I did that. I had to write a script and like contact VAs. I have no idea where I got that confidence. I wish I had some of that still.
Oh man, you know, I don't want to say this too much because this is your interview, but I also contacted a few people recently to voice act for me in my little lore video, as it were. Definitely recommend.
Well, yeah, the end product's great, but it's the whole process that gets me upset.
Well,
because it's like all the worrying. It's all the worrying.
Thankfully, I had, it was a group of friends that helped me, and I didn't have to stress, like, it wasn't that big of a deal that they had to be absolutely flawless, and I could always talk to them if they were a little bit late on the deadline.
Yeah, that's a lot easier. I imagine that's a lot less stressful.
Oh, yes. And thank you for the follow, Black Dust. I do appreciate it. Speaking of which, not necessarily anything related, actually. That's actually the most important part of what I'm about to ask you. And I hope you're ready for this because, well, I teased it a little bit in our little pre-stream talk. I have what I like to call a new segment called Hypothetical Theoretical.
Okay.
And
have my attention.
This segment has basically come to fruition because I am a little bit of a memer, as it were. I always, in my private VC chats with my friends, bring up a question, and the first thing that I always say is, hypothetically, theoretically, and then the bullshit ensues.
Well, don't be afraid to drop it on me.
All right, so I have this one right here that I actually really enjoy. This one comes from a very special friend, but I'll let you know who it is after the question is asked. Hypothetically, theoretically, you were given the choice to receive the world's tastiest, best version of your favorite food, but it's made purely of antimatter, and the resulting quantum annihilation would be enough to destroy a city and break a hole in the atmosphere. What do you do?
Am I only allowed to answer off that information?
Yes, that's all the information you are allowed.
No, I would not eat it. Because not because of the consequence of the antimatter and the whole city being destroyed, but simply on the idea that if I exclusively try the best version of my favorite food, it will ruin all other iterations for me, and I would never be able to enjoy that food again.
And then after you eat it, it explodes. So you
That
wouldn't be able
too,
to.
but I'm more concerned about the food.
Okay, fair enough.
Because for me, because like once you reach the stars, when you fall, how could you ever enjoy anything after that? It's like, why would I ever want to taste the best ice cream in the world? Sure, it's the best ice cream in the world, but then every other ice cream is so bad, and I can never try the best again. So now I'm sick of ice cream.
You
You know?
bring up a very, very good counter argument, and I think I agree with you on that regard.
And I don't destroy a whole city, so you know that's a weight off my shoulders.
It's a win-win. A win-win.
It's a win-win. There you go.
And Black Dust would still eat it and risk it all for the taste.
Well, actually, downside, I don't get to try the best ice cream in the world.
That's true.
So I'll have to take that with my grave.
So it's also a lose-win.
People get to live.
Yeah.
I have to turn away from this nice plate of like Rocky Road ice cream.
And you'll never be able to experience it ever again.
Mm-hmm. The greatest sacrifice required the greatest of wills.
Well, thank you for answering that question. The person who asked that question was Monochrome VT, or actually TV. My bad. Monochrome TV.
Yeah.
They are
question.
a Sheolian VTuber from the depths of Sheol itself, a god, if you will,
Oh.
who may or may not be on the show at some point. Anyways.
Nice teaser. I like that.
Oh yes. Well, thank you for activating the dancing time. The stage has been a little bit empty, so I appreciate it. All right, well, I think this is a great spot to take just a little bit of a breather, a little bit of a break, and run to the restroom, get some food. Is that okay with you?
Goodness, yes. I'd love to get more drinks at the bar.
Yes, the snack bar is always open. Just make sure you don't drink too much. I need you to be at least somewhat cognizant as we finish up the interview.
I'll do my best.
And for those of you who are at home, make sure that you get up, walk around, get the little stretchies going on. And if you have any questions for Soma, now would be a great time to get those prepared. And we will ask them when we get back. Oh my goodness. Soma. I can't believe that a person named Soma in my chat is giving out subs.
A doppelganger. Who could have thought? The revelations.
There's no way. Thank you, Soma.
You know what's the worst part?
What's up?
There's a doppelganger in the lore. So you know what? That's canonical right there.
Yeah, this doppelganger came in and gave 3 subs.
I can't believe it. The faker.
Congratulations to Damaris, Artisty, and Lumistance. Oh my god, words. Thank you for
Congratulations.
the subs. And with that, let's go take a really quick break.
See you, Ben.
All right,
That's like
everyone.
ASMR.
Oh, I
Not really.
hold up. Played that video again by mistake. I forgot to hide that the little intro. Everybody should be awake now, right?
Welcome back, everybody.
Yeah, welcome on back. Now, Black Dust immediately has a question for you, Selma. Do you
Of course.
have an answer for this one?
I do. My favorite drink is a nice Cuban cocktail by the name of the Mojito. It is a nice little mixture of white rum, muddled mint and lime, with some club soda, served on the rocks. It's a very nice, simple drink, very sweet, and it's very good to enjoy on a hot day, which I have been drinking very commonly throughout. Because over here in SoCal, which is where I live, it is blazing hot. So you'll find me drinking one of those at least once a week. And my God, are they delicious. At least mine.
I am not much of an alcohol person in terms of like mixing my own drinks. I typically go to a bar for that. But that does
Ah.
sound absolutely delightful. I considered for a little bit. I was like, man, what if before the interview I went and grabbed something, but I held back.
I did consider getting a drink to calm my nerves, but I thought, probably should keep it a little professional. But then I
Listen,
saw you had a bar, so
yeah,
maybe one or two shouldn't hurt.
yeah, it's totally fine with me. As
Mhm.
long as you're not like, dying.
Yeah. No, I've never gotten that bad. I know how to manage myself, thankfully.
Well, thank goodness, because I have a question for you that also revolves around an alcoholic beverage, and I'm curious.
Ooh.
That bar behind you, if you were a drink at that bar, what kind of drink would you be, and what would you name yourself?
So I would have said the mojito, but I've already listed that as my favorite drink. Let's keep things interesting. So if I had to make a drink, I'd say I like fruity flavors. I like sour, salty, sweet drinks. I don't like the straight alcohol, even though I do drink it on my drinking streams just to get things going. But if I could choose, I'd try like a lemon lime soda with some tequila, a little bit of like orange juice in it to give it some nice sweetness, and probably on the rocks, so with ice for those who don't know what that means, and a little bit of simple syrup for some added sweetness. Mix all that together. I'm not sure what type of cocktail that would be. I'm kind of making this on the fly, but I'm assuming the colors would be a little orange from the juice, and I'd probably just call it Beachside Sunset. Let's go with that.
All right. For making it up on the fly, that is a very detailed drink that you have.
I drink a lot.
You're a big fan of that drink.
I love my drinks. Don't like wine though. I hate wine.
I've met a lot of people who feel that. Have you ever tried a so it is a white wine, but they are frozen pressed grapes.
Interesting.
Yeah, it
Is there
ends
like a
up,
brand?
Honestly, I don't remember the name of it because it's a very expensive brand, so it's off my list of things that I get often. And you
Gotcha.
do have to special order it. But you know what? After the stream, I will send it to you.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to look into that.
If you like grape juice or like in any capacity, it is basically even without the ice, like as a part of the drink or the accompaniment, it tastes like you're drinking iced grape juice.
That is a very interesting texture description. I'll have to try it out. Because for me
And
personally,
it's dangerous.
yeah, you sorry?
It's dangerous, extremely dangerous.
How so?
In regards to, you will want to keep drinking it. At least I want to keep drinking it.
Okay. Well, that's not an issue. I don't drink to get drunk. I drink for the festivities that comes with drinking. It makes me a very social person, like I mentioned before. Like I don't really talk too much, but when I drink, it calms my nerves, gets me like sociable. It enables me. There you go. Be more fun. It's like that whole discussion, like an extrovert with a drink is an introvert. Introvert with a drink is extrovert. I'm like that pretty much, and I love it.
That's a great way of putting it. I wonder
So I'll
what I
definitely have to
am.
check that out.
I'm an absolute weirdo. I am, by all definitions, introverted. I get completely exhausted by human contact, but when I'm on stream, it's like I'm a completely different person. I don't know what it is.
I'd assume holding the talk show would make you extroverted, no?
You would assume so, but no. When I finish these interviews, I'm usually like, "Hey, I'm very tired. I'm going to go to bed now."
Interesting.
It's nighttime.
It's time to go to bed. Normally, I just stay up till like 2 a.m.
I do as well. Well, what I typically do is just I hide in my little own space, and then I work until I pass out.
That sounds about right for me.
I put on this whole facade. You know, I'm a big evil villain. The poison toxic dart frog. Okay, the interview's over. I gotta go bye now. Okay. And second question for you. If you could ask the next interviewee anything, and you don't know who they are, what would you like to ask them?
Okay. I thought about this because I made a couple questions, but I had kind of have to choose one. So my question is, what would you say is your biggest regret about VTubing? And what I mean by this is like, do you regret like committing to your design? Do you regret like paying a certain amount for your model? Do you regret how it looks? Like, I don't mean it to say like, oh, this is bad, you think it's bad, and you know, you're talking badly about your model. But I think it's like one of those things where it's like, if you had the opportunity to do it over again, what would you have done? Sort of like that.
Okay. Yes, that is a great question. And you know, there was one similar, and again, I want to preface this: it wasn't exactly the same. I think that this is a great take, so I'm excited to ask this to the next person to pass
Well,
it
I
along.
have to be
for
there.
you. Yes.
Oh no, I'll be there. Don't worry. You won't have to pass it on. I'll be right there listening.
I appreciate it. And well, of course, if anybody else has any questions, then feel free. You know, we have that last little moment. But is there anybody that you would like to rate?
Oh, okay. So if I had to rate someone, it would be a nice little streamer by the name of AosVT. They are currently doing charity stream for the Trevor Project, and they are currently playing Omega Strikers. That's that little sneaky game I've been talking about.
Oh yes. You know, I actually
So-
saw that you played that game in some of your clips.
Ooh, yes. It has been my recent fixation for the last, I believe, month now, and I believe here. Let me open up my Steam real quick. I have nearly 200 hours on it already.
Oh my god.
I am quite enamored with the game. It is very fun and free to play. So if anyone's interested, you might have to download that and interact with the community on Discord because they are very friendly and very welcoming. And it's a good game.
I'll definitely have to be checking it out. Last off, I think this was just a general question that Black Dust wanted to ask. Have you
Of course.
tried a Verdi champagne?
I believe I have. It was quite a few years ago, back when I was a teenager, back when I was less refined in my palate. So I don't think I had a good reaction to it, but I'd have to look into getting another one because I did consider at one point doing like drink streams where like I don't really drink to play games and get drunk, but more to like interact with people about alcohol. You know, doing taste tests. There you go. Just as a means of like expanding my content, because if you look on my YouTube page, I keep my Twitch streams just on Twitch is just gaming and stuff like that, but my YouTube is where I really indulge in different pathways for content creation. You'll see there like edited GMV, like gaming music videos where I'll have music playing behind gameplay, just little highlight clips. I'll have my YouTube shorts showing clips of my streams, and there'll be full-length videos showing those moments as well. And one thing that I really started getting into back when I first started my debut anniversary was music. I have a whole album that I created on my own back there on my channel, and for the last few months I've been making music originally all by myself, just not even music theory or trained in anything. Sadly, I haven't really gotten good with my guitar, but I've been also making art streams. I've been doing speed drawings and like fan arts of close friends and people that I watch all the time and interact with. And I've really tried to make sure, as I mentioned before, not to really restrict myself with what I'm creating. So that way in the future, I can keep doing more than stuff and people won't see it as like, oh, he's abandoning what made him good. It's more, he's just continuing to expand on himself. And that's what we like to see.
Oh, yes.
So if anyone's interested in all that stuff, make sure to check my YouTube channel. I don't know if that's linked anywhere, but
I
go
actually
ahead and
don't
check
have
that
that
out.
linked, but I know that it is in your about, which you can get to by following, well, Soma on Twitch. And you better do that, or I'm going to be very, very mad. And again, this little creature will cry, and you don't want that creature to cry.
I'll cry.
No, you don't want that to happen. It's impossible. Thank you for the hydrate, Black Dust. And thank you for being on my show, Soma. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate, I know you stay up very late, but taking this late night out just to talk to me for, a short amount of time and get to know a little bit more about you.
Well, of course. I'd have to take the opportunity when it's offered to me. Otherwise, you kind of waste it.
Oh, yes. And you know what? Stay in touch, because one of these days I might just have to pull you back in for an Omega Strikers collab.
You mentioned that, but I did consider having a little community event for that. I'd have to, if you are interested at all, keep in touch with me. I'll be available to figure something out.
I do my best to try to keep in touch with all of my past guests. It's hard, but whenever I think about them, I'll send them a meme, and then they can start a conversation from there if they want.
Oh, don't worry. I'll do my best as well. I understand that everyone's got their whole life to live, so I understand when it takes people a while to message back.
Yes, life can be hard like that. Alright, there is the raid message. I'm going to start the raid right now.
Alright.
Soma, do you have any parting words of wisdom for the members of our chat this evening?
If any of you are planning to venture into VTubing, understand that unfortunately you have come in at probably the worst time. There's not really that many people joining the audience that are going to be watching you specifically, and there's a lot of big hitters that people mainly attract to. You have to come in expecting nothing. If you come in with this, $5,000 model with this beautiful rig and art and everything, expecting to blow up and become the next big thing, understand that the possibility of that is very little. You'll burn yourself out and you'll ruin your expectations, and you'll just become what's the word for it? Disillusioned with what you would expect. Content creation is a very difficult path to go down. I've been doing this for nearly 10 years now, and I've still barely at like a couple hundred subscribers. And I am thankful for every single person who's stuck with me till then. So just understand that if you're going to come in here, come in with little expectation. You must be willing to commit to this on a daily basis, constantly devoting much of your time, your free time, towards this if you actually want to try having a career in it. It's very unlikely, but if you're willing to put in the passion, if you're willing to put in the effort to be creative and innovative with yourself, you will succeed. I am a believer of that. I am a faithful follower of that ideology, and I wish every single person here the best of luck, as well as you, Neo.
Thank you so much.
And with that, I believe that is everything I have to say.
Perfect. I was worried that the raid would go through, so I did cancel it, but we're good.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I had to rush it down a little bit because I was like, oh, the raid's gonna happen.
No, you're perfect. Absolutely fine. And
but okay.
To everybody in chat, I will be seeing you tomorrow, because I am going to be playing a game that I've had on my list for a long time. I'm going to be playing Bloodstained Symphony of the Night. And
I love that game. Oh my god.
I will hope to see you there.
I'll have to be there. Oh my god. I could spout off about that game for so long. I have it 100%ed on my PlayStation account.
Ah, hell yeah.
Great game. You won't be disappointed.
And with that, have a good night,
Thank you. Thank you for coming, everybody. Thank you for having me. Hope you all have a good night. Ooh, that was so great. I am so surprised that we could have that done.